Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where I was just looking at our ISS here and wrapping my head around what we have going on here, right? So I was thinking about it and I was referencing this image here as we did last episode. And I was thinking, so this is the Unity module here. This is the Destiny lab, right? This is the Quest Joint airlock. And then it gets attached to the Quest Joint airlock down below it, and it looks kind of in line with the Destiny lab. So if we hop back over to here, right, we can see that it appears from our perspective here like we have the station mirrored, right? So essentially what that ends up meaning is that the Quest Joint airlock is currently on what I would consider to be like the port side rather than the starboard side. And I just want to double check the configuration here. Yeah, so we can see here that this direction is starboard, this direction is port. This should be on the starboard side. And we've been going on that orientation. And I don't think it actually matters, to be clear, because so far, in terms of port to starboard, with the exception of the Quest Joint airlock, everything has been symmetrical. So if we hop back over here, we can see everything is completely symmetrical in the port starboard direction. So this just essentially establishes that from this angle, starboard is this way. And when viewed from above, like this, that is approximately correct. Well, it's still off to the left instead of to the right. So we could just determine that this is port, or we could move the Quest Joint airlock. Those are our two options. And the question is, which would we prefer to do? Well, for now, we need to get to the ISS, right? So let's hop back to the Space Center. I think I am probably going to move the Quest Joint airlock to the other side. Previously, I think I just said that it doesn't matter which side it is, and we can just decree that the side that that's on is starboard, and that's absolutely true. But we can also change it and make it match the diagram. And that's maybe a better plan. For now, let's hop into the VAB, and I believe we need to stow our existing module that we're going to be sending up. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to fit into our shuttle, but let's get that loaded in here. That is going to be the ESP2. So that's this bad boy. Yeah, we need to stow this. So for now, we can just take this, we can unextend it, and then we can grab our hinge down here. Where are you at, hinge? I know you're here somewhere. Well, it'll be actually easier to grab it like here, I think. Yeah. And then we can just stow this about like that. But we can see if we do it like this, we stick through with our grab arm over there, and we stick through over here, awkwardly enough. So we're going to need to move our root part here, which is going to be this structural panel. We're going to need to make this a little bit more centered as far as our attachment point here goes. So something about like that, and hopefully that doesn't cause us any issues with our decoupler. That's the alligator hinge there, and then that's the decoupler. So I don't think we're going to have any major issues with decoupling it. Now, of course, we need to deal with this small problem. So, to that end, I'm going to move it up a little bit, and we'll put it about there for now, and then we can grab our alligator hinge. We need to be in place mode for this. We can grab our alligator hinge, and we can just angle this, like this, right? But I want to first angle it out and make sure that we're not going to have any major decoupling issues. It looks like we actually are. So I'm going to move this cargo storage unit out over here for the time being. That'll be fine. We can always relocate it later if we want to, right? So we can just position it like that. Now, this would fit in here unless we close the base, right? We definitely need to get the alligator hinge to be turned a bit. The question is, what angle is going to work? Well, at this point, we need to move it forward at this angle. So we can use our move tool here, grab our root structural panel here in local space, and move it like that. Will that fit? I don't know about this guy here. We might have a little bit of clippage there. Yeah, a tiny, tiny bit of clippage. What if we were to grab our hinge here and increase our target angle to there? That's 45 degrees. We close this. That actually worked. Okay, I'm surprised about that. I expected us to need a little bit more there. So this will fit in here, barely, and we can just strut it in here and strut it in here just to make sure it's not going anywhere, in theory. Now, as far as the decouple goes, I'm pretty sure we're going to have an issue there. Let's clip in here if we can. I want to clip in right here. Apparently, we really don't want to do that, but we can move down over here like so. And I just want to move this cargo storage unit to be up over here. And we can just move that out to be about like that. Okay, so that will give us a much cleaner detach, in theory, anyway. We'll do something along the lines of that. That'll be our ESP2. And we can close this, and we can send this on up. Now, if we keep this open, we can see we've got plenty of room to maneuver our robot arm without attaching this, and we're probably going to want to move the quest joint airlock first. So let's just save it, put it out on the pad, and let's get ourselves into orbit here. I want to get up to the station, and at least I would like to get the quest joint airlock moved this episode. We'll see how viable that is. But hopefully it'll be reasonably viable. We'll have some extra struts down at the bottom as usual. I'm just thinking about, are we going to have enough struts to do what I want to do here? And we don't have any in here, but we can always just grab some of these struts that are going to be down here, right? So that should be reasonably fine. We'll have 2 extra struts over here. That should be plenty. So in that case, we're going to set this. I don't know why this keeps resetting to 422 kilometers. I want it to be 200 kilometers. I don't want to skip circularization. Every time I restart the game, it feels like it resets that. But we're going to set the ISS as our target here, and we are going to launch into plane of target, and let's go. Excellent. So we're going to be launching here in about an hour, and we're just going to speed on forward here. Phenomenal. So now we're going to be launching in about 20 seconds. And now there's our 11-second countdown. Excellent. That is absolutely great. Where are we in terms of nighttime? Oh, okay, sure. That'll do. Cool. So let's lift this thing off right now. Off we go. We should begin our rotation here. Yep, there we go. No problem whatsoever there. As usual, we're going to be staging this with 2 to 3 seconds remaining. That definitely seems to work. We've so far not had a failure where we take out our wings. It would be problematic if we did. No doubt about that. Interesting. We're going in the opposite direction as usual. So we're going to have these below the wings here, which is definitely not the norm, but I guess it's okay. We can try this. I've never tried going this direction. This is not the way that the space shuttle usually goes. The space shuttle launch has the big orange tank and the SRBs above relative to Earth. But we can go this direction. In theory, it should be no different. In theory. It'll probably be different. Well, it'll definitely be different. I'm talking about in terms of separating the SRBs. We'll see how that goes. This is not the preferred manner of doing this, but it should be fine, I think. We've definitely gone the 2 directions from the Woomerang launch site, but I think we've gone this direction launching manually with the shuttle, but of course, when I was manually flying it, I can just flip it around. I can't really do that with MechJeb. It'll go back to this attitude, but whatever. I guess that's interesting. Sure. We've got 2 seconds left, so off go those SRBs. Phenomenal. Now, of course, we want to thrust limit down to 33% here. Not thrust limit. Hang on. gimbal limit down to 33%. There we go. That's better. So we'll just gimbal limit that right on down. Our apoapsis height is still pretty... Actually, that's pretty up there. We don't have a lot of horizontal speed right now. MechJeb is definitely doing a different ascent here. There is no doubt about that. I guess we'll find out how it works. I mean, our fuel's pretty decent. Our apoapsis height is quite good. And now we are getting mostly horizontal speed. Mostly. I mean, we are launching into the correct plane. I'm 95% sure about that. Yeah, we definitely are launching into the correct plane. It's just... We're going southward instead of northward, right? And so things are just feeling slightly different. But our apoapsis height is about half of what it needs to be right now, and it's going to get that other half very quickly, as expected. So this should be absolutely fine. We've got lots of fuel left in the big orange tank. No problem whatsoever here. It's just slightly orientation-wise different. And honestly, I think this pacing is about the same. So it should be no problem whatsoever. We're at 110 right now. We just crossed the boundary into space, so that's good. And we're just going to continue pushing up to 200 here. And we'll get that circularized as well, and then we'll ditch the big orange tank because we should be in a reasonable ascending node here. It's currently 1 degree off. That's probably close enough. We can get there with corrective steering manually. I'm not too concerned about 1 degree. So we're fine-tuning that apoapsis. There we go. And there's our circularization node. We can certainly physics warp as we turn. Cool. And we'll just position right about here. And then MechJeb will warp us forward and take care of the circularization. Everything is good. Assuming MechJeb gets close enough to be okay with warping forward. Anytime now, MechJeb. You can do it. Maybe? Maybe. Let's just warp. I'm going to manually warp it. We're coasting to the circularization burn, and we're just going to warp like that. Now MechJeb is warping itself. So that's good. It just needed a bit of a prompt, I guess. That's absolutely fine. So 2, 1, 0, and mark. We're definitely a little over-throttled here, I think, for this burn, but it's fine. We'll just let MechJeb do its thing. That'll take us up to about here. Yeah, that's good. I would consider this acceptable. MechJeb doesn't, but I consider that acceptable. So that'll be fine. At this point, we can ditch this fuel. We still have a kilometer per second in here, by the way, but it's significant offset on the thrust. We're going to ditch it. It is fine. We've gotten into the orbit that we want to be in, although do we want to do an inclination change? No. No, I don't. Let's just ditch this. Let's have Bill EVA, and we're going to head on down. We've still got some rotational velocity here, which is, you know, mildly awkward, but it should be fine. We'll just grab on here, and let's just go to kill rot, please. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll reconfigure for spaceflight. I do want to remove all of these struts, of course. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll get this re-angled down to a flat trajectory. Not really a trajectory. That's not the right word at all. But we'll get it back flattened anyway. When we use the engine, we want it to give us a flat trajectory. I guess that works. That's using the terminology correctly. Sure. So we're going to strut this guy right back in, of course. It doesn't really need it, I don't think, but I do like to play it safe. Technically, we haven't tried it. Because I'm scared to. I don't want that engine plate flapping around, essentially. Okay. So we've got ourselves at least 3 struts down here that I see that we can utilize later on. That's fine. We may or may not need them, so let's just move back over this direction. Okay, and in we go. We'll grab and board. Cool. So now let's set ourselves up with a rendezvous to the station. How are things looking if we were to bring it out here? Okay, that is significantly off. So we're almost certainly going to need to wait a few orbits. This looks decent, though. Yeah, that's not bad at all. We'll line up for that node. That's going to be in a couple of orbits, of course. But that's fine. We'll warp on forward. And around we go. 30 minutes. And 1 minute. Cool. 50 seconds. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0. Mark. Right. Our thrust is rather high. We should probably adjust that. I didn't do that. That's my own fault. Okay. This is good enough. So we'll go back to kill rot. We'll turn our thrust limiters down to 10%. There we go. And we are on our way over to a rendezvous with the station. Now, how close is that going to be? Technically, we lost our target here, but that's going to be 0.8 kilometers. Yeah, that's close enough. So we'll maneuver around over here. Let's hop into target mode. That'll be absolutely fine. And where is the station right now? It should be pretty close. And I believe it should be out from Kerbal from us. There it is. Hi, station. So we're going to rotate on around over here. We're at 158 right now. We're actually not very off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to warp a little further. I'm not going to do a corrective burn here. We're going to hop around to relative velocity minus, and we're just going to get closer to the station for the moment. Okay. So somewhere around here, we can do a little bit of a corrective burn. We're still about 9 kilometers out, but we can hop into kill rot, and we can push this guy right on over about here. There we go. That's a decent corrective burn. 0.1 kilometers. I like it. That'll be close enough. And let's just head on in here. So I'm going to get oriented here. We're going to do a braking burn at about 2.5 kilometers. Should be good. And that's 2.3 kilometers. Okay. Station is loading in. And we're braking. I'm going to be rotating like this. I don't think we're going to impact the station, but I am going to rotate like this. There we go. We're about 90 meters per second apart right now, so we're a little early on our braking burn, I think. 60 meters per second. 50. We'll just bring this down to somewhere around 10. Okay. That's 13 meters per second. And this is 10 meters per second. Cool. So we're just going to head on in here. We're about 400 meters out at the moment, but we'll just get closer. And I do want to move the Quest joint airlock, of course. So we're going to open the Mark III cargo bay here, and we're going to deploy the robot arm. That was the traverse rate. Hang on, I want the target angle. There we go. Traverse rate can stay at like 90 for now. Cool. So we just want this to be completely straight up, right? And for the moment, we're going to extend this guy right on out. And we'll arm the robot arm. And let's come to a halt here. We're quite close at this point. And yeah, this is going to wiggle around a bit. No doubt about that. So we need to head over to the Quest joint airlock, right? Which is right there. And we just need to grab onto it after it has been undocked. That's going to be the way that we go about doing this. So that is still a little bit of relative motion. I'm going to actually unextend this arm. Okay. Now we know that we need to go this direction, right? So let's get rotated on over there. We want to be located above the Quest joint airlock. And I'm going to put us on kill rot because it's going to try to bring us back to where we were. So we want to be above the Quest joint airlock in plane with it here. It doesn't really matter how precisely we grab it. We just want to be in position to grab it. Okay, so let's head in here at around 0.5 meters per second or so. Something like that'll do. Now, I do want to rotate us over this direction. There we go. And turn RCS on. We're going to want to kill our sideways momentum as soon as we are in plane here. So that's going to be this direction. Gotcha. So we're going to want to move this reticle until it's right on our heading, right? That'll be the goal here. So that's going to be what we do. As soon as we're in line here, we're just heading over. Little bit further. We're very close. Very, very close. Okay, right about now. There we go. And I'm going to bring it downwards a little bit, about here. Okay, so we're still about 40 meters out right now. But we just need to get into position here. I'm a little concerned about our tail clipping these guys over here. We'll probably retract them once we get a little bit closer in. In fact, we could probably do it right now. So let's just retract all of these radiators. So while we're drifting slowly inwards, we'll just get these out of the way. There we go. Radiators have been retracted. And we are going to just slow down a little bit here. We're going to need to go a bit downwards, and we're at a little bit of an angle here as well. But I'm just slowing us down a wee bit. Okay, I want to go down a little bit. So something about like that. Down a little further, I'm going to slow us down in the forward direction. I want to still be going a bit down. Okay, so that's 0.2 meters per second right now. And we don't need our lights on. Thank you very much. Cool. So we're just going to turn that down to here. Now we're going straight forward. Excellent. And we just want to go forward a little bit further here, although I do want to turn RCS off here and rotate us to be about here or so. Okay. And at this point, we've overshot a little bit. So I want to go back ever so slightly here. Not very much at all. Just a little bit back. Right about here in terms of forward and back. Okay, so how are we looking in terms of left and right? Looks pretty good, actually. So now I'm going to go down a little bit here. We don't need to go down very far, just a little ways. Right about here-ish. It looks like we're a little off on our angling, so we picked up a little bit of a reverse angle on that. Indeed. So I'm going to push us forward a tiny bit. Make sure that we're in this exact forward velocity, or very close to it. And looking to kill that velocity. There we go. About there. Next, we're going to go to the Quest Joint Airlock, and we're going to undock this. Oh, we still have a decent amount of forward velocity there. Hang on. Let's move this back ever so slightly. Okay. About there. Now, to the Quest Joint Airlock and undock this. And hopefully we'll be okay on undocking with these struts here. I think we will. Yeah. So we're now undocked. So now what we want to do is just extend this guy out until we grab it. And there we go. We've got it. Cool. Now I want to give us a little bit of reverse here. and just pull it out and away. There we go. And we'll come to a halt here. I want to bring this up. Like so. Now Bill's going to EVA. And I'm going to repurpose some of these struts that are on here, or at least one of these struts. I don't think we need more than just this one. And we'll just strut that in there to make sure it's nice and solid. Now we'll hop in, and we need to turn completely around. I want to get a little bit more altitude here. So RCS on. We're going to get a little bit of altitude here so that we can clear the station. Somewhere around here or so. And then we're going to need to turn around 180 degrees, right? So that'll be fine. We're just going to bring this to a halt. There we go. Now we need to turn around 180 degrees. Because we're going to be putting it on the other side of the station. So, with us over here, I think we need to go a little bit further. Yep, right about here or so. And of course, we're going to need to rotate this, which means that we don't want that strut on there. Right. Bill, you're going to have to EVA again and grab that strut. For the moment, I'm going to store it in the cockpit. And we want to just rotate this guy around, right? So we're going to use our rotation servo that's here. It's currently at a 22-degree angle, so we want to rotate it around. So 180 minus 22 here is going to be 168, I believe. There we go. And now we're going to want to strut that back on. So, Bill, you can grab this strut. And we are, of course, swaying a bit, but we will put a stop to that. There we go. And now we're going to need to, like, back this in to the correct side, right? And the correct side is out over here, the starboard side. So we need to back up a bit. What am I doing? Why did I rotate it? There was no reason to do that. We hadn't moved yet. I don't know why I thought we had moved. We hadn't moved to the other side. This doesn't need to be rotated. What am I even doing? Okay, we're going to put that back. And we're going to rotate this back to 22 degrees. There we go. And now Bill can strut this back on. Here you go, Bill. Just make sure it's not swaying around. That's the only thing we need here. There we go. Now, we can rotate, or actually not rotate, we can back off here, which is exactly what we want to do. We want to get over to the other side of the station. So I'm just taking us over at a very gentle speed here. Although I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Cool. So back we go. And of course, we're going to set this as our target. There we go. We're going to have to be in line with it. We should be relatively close to in line with it, though. So we just need to move back a ways here. Excellent. And this is going to be pretty much in line with our crew module here, but it's not going to be entirely in line. So we're going to have to do something about that, of course. Bring this on over. We are crossing the line of the station now, so we probably want to start braking a bit here. Just letting us get a little further than we need to. There we go. 2, 1, and 0. Now we're going to start dropping this downward a bit. So we're going to go in at about 2 meters per second or so. I'm going to control from here now. Like I said, it'll be slightly different, and that's okay. So we're just going to drop this down until we are approximately in line. We're going to have to go a little to the left here from our current control scheme. So that's okay. We're headed off to the left a wee bit. Okay. There we go. Bringing that momentum down. And then as far as the downward momentum goes, we're about in line right now. So we're just going to do this. We've overshot ever so slightly. Okay. Now I'm going to point at target. We're slightly off, I think, in terms of our orientation, and we're definitely a bit below it. But I want to start heading towards the target here. And we're going to need to go up a little bit here. So we're just going to lift this up like so until we are approximately in line. And I'm going to head towards target a little bit more here. And a little bit more up. Okay. Looking good. We're waiting until this is relatively straight. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we're not quite there yet. A little further, I think we're relatively good in terms of our verticality now. Okay. In we go. We're just moving it to a different docking port, and we did not immediately dock up there. Let's see if we do here. No, we do not. Okay, we might need to just hop over here and set as target. Point this guy at the target, but we want to control from here, please. There we go. Now we've got some docking forces going on. That, of course, means we probably need to move this guy, too. That can be a next episode sort of thing. Okay. We are struggling here a bit. But there we go. Now we're docked up. Excellent. So that will do for the time being. We do need to move this guy over to the other side since we are making this be starboard and this be port, right? So that'll be fine. That'll be absolutely fine, but that is something that will need to be done. That is the next episode sort of thing, so we'll do that, and we will deploy this guy in the next episode as well. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.